You've seen it, you love it, but have you seen it by a man you've never seen before? Today, I will be doing a 4 parts or repair only eBay build. I've seen lots of bigger YouTube channels do this with their millions of subscribers, but I wanted to see what it would be like for a man, me and you, a dude who has never posted a video to the internet, what it would be like to go on eBay, find parts for as dirt cheap as I could, and possibly make a computer out of them. Now, when I was doing this build, I gave myself a budget around $150. Not only did I stay under budget, I also built a computer that will perform, and that's about it. Now, the parts I have right here aren't all that I have, but for this video, this is what I'll be using. Hope you enjoy. Alright, let's get started with the base of every computer. The brains of the operation, that would be the motherboard. Now, I went for the AM4 socket because that's the socket I know most about, and I like it more when these CPU pins are on the CPU. I find them much easier to repair. For what I'm used to doing, AM4 is the easiest for me to fix. But this motherboard is the Asus Prime B550M, thing that's usually broken with these motherboards on eBay under the 4 parts of repair. Usually you're missing these retention clips on RAMs or the GPU socket, but neither of those are missing, which isn't a good sign, to be honest. I'd rather see those broken, and maybe that was the only thing they saw that was broken on the motherboard, and then they just said, oh, let's sell it on eBay. Which means something with all these, with the PCB could be wrong. Now, on visual inspection, I don't see anything. I haven't seen a pin. All of the connectors look great, and well, we won't know until we're testing it, but right now, it does look pretty good. So, next, we have the CPU. AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. About $80+ pre-owned retails. I got it for $20, same as the motherboard. Both were $20. The only thing I see wrong with it are about 5 bent pins in 2 of the corners, and honestly that's best case scenario, because seeing bent pins is probably the easiest thing you can fix on a CPU, because if the pins aren't bent and it's still up for repair, it could be user error by the person testing it, or they just haven't tested it. But if it's not bent pins, it could be the PCB's broken, so the under the heatsink you'd have to check under there. And if there's pins missing, well, that gets a lot more finesse work. But bent pins, I think just about anyone can fix. And to only get this for $20, honestly, was a steal. So let's start next with the GPU. And this is the only thing that I didn't get, or 2 of the only things I didn't get that were for parts or repair, because I don't have the skill set necessarily, at least right now in my building career. And a lot of people don't have access to fixing a GPU. So I went with a Radeon RX 570 that was working. Still only got it for $35. And for, this is probably the weakest part of the build. For 3700X, you'd probably want a 3060, probably somewhere in there to maximize performance. But for this build, with this socket, this CPU, the upgrade path is pretty damn good. People today still rocking the 36. Great, phenomenal card. Let's go to RAM next. I got 2 different sets of sticks. These 2 are 16 gigs, 2x8 Corsair Vengeance. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, then these 2, which I really hope they work. That'd be phenomenal. 3200 megahertz. No. What? Wow, I got duped. These are 2 different sticks of RAM. Let's see, is it just the heatsink that's different? No. These are 2 completely different sticks of RAM. Wow. I have to go back and just check the listing. Maybe I got ripped off. Maybe I didn't read the fine print. This one is 3200 megahertz speed, and this one is 2133 megahertz speed. So, yes, these are different, and they will still work. Well, we have yet to find out if they work, but that's what I got, and next time I will read the fine print. And then for SSD, Another part I didn't want to cheap out on because I don't know how to repair an SSD at all. And I didn't want to go with an NVMe M.2 drive because those get vastly more expensive. And really all you're paying for more is the faster read write speeds, which only cuts down your OS loading time and maybe in between some games. So it's going to be a bit slower, but who needs that time? You're on a budget. You don't need that extra 30 seconds you save by booting from an NVMe drive, all right? 256 gigs. It's going to hold just a few games by today's standards, if that, honestly. Like, some of the games say only 1 or 2 will even fit on here. Maybe even 1 if you're buying Call of Duty, which won't even fit on here. Got it for 20 bucks, Samsung 850 Pro. So, great SSD, honestly. And then we got our fans. We have our stock cooler, because why spend more on a cooler when you're not even going to be looking at the build, let's hope. Nobody's going to be looking at this except for me, because this isn't for aesthetics. If you want aesthetics and you're on a budget, it's going to cost you quite a bit more just for the look of the build. I don't think you should be looking to build a budget PC and an aesthetic PC. You're looking for a completely different thing, all right? I'm sure you could do it. I'm not saying you can't, but in my case right here with this build, I didn't want to spend a lot of money. And then another part you do not ever want to cheap out on is your PSU. Non-modular, which cuts the price quite a bit. A Seasonic S12 with a, 650 watts. So that's going to be more than enough to power this GPU, motherboard, CPU combination. More than enough. But with all of that said, let's get in. Let's start repairing what I can, which is really only the CPU. I'll show you how I do that. And then let's put it all together and see if we have something that can even post. I'm excited to do this. I hope you are too. First video I'll be posting, and if you want to see more, just let me know, all right? So let's get into it. I will show you the way I fix a CPU. Now you can see the bend pins in this corner and this corner. See if I can show you on camera. It's a bit harder to see. But yeah, you can see pretty clearly those pins are bent right in these corners. Now, I have slim guitar picks lying around. You want very light or slim, they're usually. Now, there are definitely different ways you can do this. You can use a credit card possibly. Those might be a bit too thick. Something like a thumbtack could possibly work. Now, what you want to do is get in the groove with the rest of the pins and then just use them as leverage to bend back your CPU pins. Now you can see that the second one in is bent in a little tiny bit. So we want to use those other pins around it, and that way it'll just slide right back into the correct place like that. Pin here on the end is slightly bent. Slide that in between there, and that whole section's looking a whole lot better. And like I said, I just did this guitar pick. There are a few other things you could use, but just be gentle. These pins can only really take 1, maybe 2 bends before they completely snap off. And once you're there, you better be damn good at soldering, because I'm not. Look up here at this corner. And it's these two right here on this edge, right here. So these ones look far enough apart that I could hopefully just squeeze in this guitar pick. And using leverage from the pins around those, they should just bend right back into place. So without applying much force at all, but that is pretty damn close. Now, they're not perfect. You can see them bent a little bit inwards that way. But we're at a point where with the AM4 socket, if we can get it to drop in there, we can use the socket itself to bend those pins back into place. It hasn't yet. That bottom is not in there. Those pins are not falling into place. So, just gonna take it back out and see what else needs to be slightly bent back. Sweet, that whole bottom row looks great now. Now the second row in needs to be bent back a little bit. That is looking much better. All right, let's try again with the motherboard. Matching arrow to arrow. Sorry, it's just really tiny on this one. I didn't even see it. And we just set it on there. Does it want to go into place? No. Got 2 pins right here at the end. So let's try it again. Let's grab motherboard. Arrows are the correct way. And we're in. We are in the socket. So now that we are completely in, it just falls in by itself. All right. If you're pushing it all, then you're doing it wrong. The socket on every motherboard should fall into place on its own without needing any pressure. The retention clip is the only thing that you will have to put weight on to keep it in. We can start assembling our RAM. We'll be trying the red Corsair Vengeance first. Like I said, this is 16 gigabytes. Each is 8 gigabytes a stick, 2400 megahertz speed, 2 and 4. And you can check your motherboard manual for which sockets you should be putting in for single channel, dual channel, and obviously quad channel, you're using all 4. All right. Boom, boom, clip, clip. Perfect. RAM's in there. Sorry to shake the camera so much. Next up, GPU. All right, like I said, this GPU, voila, missing a sticker, who cares? RX 570, so retention clip's open. Perfect, we're in. You have CPU, GPU, two sticks of RAM, and you should be able to boot into BIOS from here. So let's grab our power supply, get reset up, grab a monitor, and see if this thing starts. All right, this is our CPU power, 4+4, 8-pin. This is the motherboard power. Now we need GPU power. Now for a visual indicator, I'll just be using my stop cooler. Just so, you know, if it even turns on. I'll be pretty shocked if it does, but we'll plug that into the CPU fan. There we go. Power supply, I know it works. You don't want to cheap out on a power supply. These can be dangerous. And that goes for me, W, because I'm an idiot. Plugged in, on, and then we just need something to short the power switch. Now, if this starts, doesn't mean it works, but it is a great sign. Yes! Whew. It starts. That is awesome. I'll be amazed if we can get it to post. Hopefully it just does. Or we might just have a working computer that I could build for 100, 150, 144 to be exact. And if I can do it, you can do it. I just used a guitar pick to fix some CPU pins and then plugged everything in. Now I still have to complete the build, but this is just test benching. And then I'll be benchmarking. Because the first thing I would upgrade is the GPU, but let's just get it plugged into a monitor and see if I can see anything. I got our peripheral set up. Now this monitor, actually I didn't get with the build. This is my personal monitor, so I didn't account that into the budget, which could increase the cost by $50, so that's something else. Peripherals, mouse and keyboard, I actually got for free from a guy on Facebook Marketplace because being nice to people goes a hell of a lot further than being an asshole on social media for views. At least if you care about your self-image, which a lot of people don't today. But that's a completely different issue. Let's start this back up again. All right, no display. Damn it. Well, I think we all knew it was too good to be true for $140 that would get a working gaming computer. Gaming. I don't know what we're playing on this yet. Anything if we're lucky. I'm gonna grab a working GNOME setup and figure out what exactly is wrong with this one by testing each part individually with the same socket motherboard, and let's see if we can figure out what exactly is wrong with this. What I have here is actually my mom's workstation computer. I put it together for her. It didn't need to be anything special. It was just something that she simply needed to be on the internet, really. And she's a great mom and she deserves it. So now that I stole it, I'm gonna start taking parts out of it incrementally. First, I want to start with the CPU. So, sorry mom, still love you. I'll put it back together, make sure it works after. And hopefully nothing gets damaged. Now you might notice this M.2 drive is just hanging about, but he's fine. Don't worry about him. And I keep it clean for her because dust kills computers. It's true. My mom's not a smoker or anything. I'm not a smoker. Smoking, gross. Don't do it. Hi, you. There we go. Come on, buddy. Let's get you out of there. All right. Oh, ideally, you do this on a level first surface so you don't do what I just did. Ah, beautiful, monsieur. All right, we're clicked in. And now, if this CPU works, it should just boot right up. Power. Yep, fans spin. There you go. Chopping fingies. That's okay. Well, guys, looks like it might be CPU after all. Alright, now we're using the AMD Ryzen 5, I think. It's an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 that I stole out of my mom's computer because I love her so much. We got power. All our fans are spinning. We got RGB. Let's see if we can get this thing to... Yes! That is fantastic. Holy shit. Alright, so let's take a quick second review. CPU, busted. This AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, it's beyond my capabilities of fixing. So I went ahead and replaced it with a AMD Ryzen 5 2600 that I know works. Threw that in the setup, boots fine, straight to Windows, or even booted into the BIOS, you know, checked everything, everything looks good there. Our RAM works, our GPU works, motherboard works. The only thing that we lost out on was this CPU. But for now, I think I'm gonna stop this project right here because this is taking me longer than I thought it would. And to be honest, for buying broken parts, it probably took shorter or less time than it should have because none of these were supposed to work according to the people I bought them off of on eBay. I would like to still come back and get a non-working CPU off of eBay for not working or for parts and see if I could get that working. Now I can just resell this for the same price I got it off eBay for $20 with shipping and all that eBay selling taxes bullshit included. Or, now hear me out, anybody watching this video, if you want to take a crack at this thing, if you have the time and the tools to do it, I would love to give you this for free, just for a thank you for even watching the video, alright? For free, not covering shipping costs, depending on where you live in America, not overseas. And if you can get this working, congrats, you got a free CPU essentially that you can resell for $100, give or take. And if you can't get it working, you can do the same thing. Resell it on eBay, probably around $20, you know, let somebody else have a shot at it. And honestly, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get it working. This is a fantastic CPU, even in today's modern world where we have the AMD Ryzen 9000 million. I just wanted to do this experiment to show you, a guy or a girl, who's in the same position as me. Literally the only tools I used for this was a screwdriver and a guitar pick. Now, I have a completely working gaming computer. I would like to do a second video where I benchmark it, test it, do all that, but that's gonna take a little bit more time than I would like. So for right now, I think I'm gonna end it right here. Like I said, this was just to show the world and anybody with $150 in their pocket, if they're willing to take the risk on themselves being able to fix a computer, that yeah, you could do this too. Somebody out there has to be able to get this thing working. Let me know if that's you, alright? I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching. If you want to see the next video where I'm going to be continuing this series with this build and probably be doing a second one, I'm also in the process of getting computers off Facebook Marketplace to see whether I can get scammed or I can do the scamming and lowball the shit out of these people and get fantastic computers for a completely wicked price. Now, I sound like a piece of shit saying that, and I agree, but we're all a little bit greedy, alright? It's pre-programmed into us. I'm sorry. So, please subscribe, you know, and if you just enjoy computer programming, just please subscribe, you know? It'll let me know that anybody on the internet wants to keep seeing this. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.